Our family's involvement in Navajo weaving actually started a lot longer ago than my father's first venture into it. My grandfather came, on my mother's side, came from Chicago to die of tuberculosis. As a young man, got on a train and came west, and the dry air in the Southwest cured him, and he ended up owning a small trading post in Blanco, New Mexico, where he first traded with the Navajo people, Spanish people, anybody else that lived in that area. So my mother had grown up with an understanding of Navajo weaving as a young child. And then my father and his sister were fortunate in that their father, Fred Clark, loved the Navajo reservation. So every weekend he would load the family in the big Buick and they would head out on the reservation. And they stayed with all the traders at the trading posts. And Fred, who owned a hardware store here in town, did a lot of work with those traders, a lot of business. So they were good friends, and they got to know each other real well. And then my dad went to the war, World War II, and when he returned, he had no interest in being in either the hardware business or the Indian art business, but his father died of a heart attack, and he was sort of forced to take over the hardware store. And in 1957, he made the decision that it was a good time to get out of the hardware business, and he sold it. And the opportunity came along when a gentleman from the Pepsi-Cola company here in Durango hired him to go to work for him. So the very first job he gave my dad was to go down to the Two Gray Hills trading post, where he was supposed to collect a past due debt. And when he got down there, he found that the trader basically had no money. The Navajo people were waiting around for the mail, and the shelves were pretty empty. But the trader took him in the back room to have a conversation, and my dad saw these piles of Navajo rugs all around the room. And that was why the guy was in trouble, because he was trading goods that he sold to these Navajo women who would bring in these rugs. And then the trader had no place to sell the rugs. So the economic circle just sort of stopped there. And back in 1957, on dirt roads, there weren't an awful lot of people that went out to the Navajo reservation looking for Navajo rugs. So my dad thought, boy, what an opportunity. He traded the guy $1,000 worth of rugs for the $1,000 that he owed him, and then he took another $1,000 worth of rugs and said, why don't you call these other trading posts and you arrange to have them give you sugar and flour and the other things you need to get back in business, and we'll ship the Pepsi-Cola down to those trading posts, and everybody will be going well, and you'll get back in business, and the other guys will be happy. And so trader thought that was a pretty good idea. So my dad took the rugs home, showed them to his boss when he got home, and his boss was totally unexcited about the concept. Felt like the trader was lying, that he obviously had money, and told my dad to go back the next day and get the money. And then the boss went to the Elks Club. And so my dad went home not feeling really good about this, and my mom was having a dinner party that night to celebrate his new job. And while they're doing the dinner, my dad is looking around at all of his friends, you know, lawyer, doctor, businessman, all these different kinds of people. And he said, do you want to see what I did today? And he brought all the rugs in, sold all the rugs to his buddies, got checks, went and cashed them, came in the next morning and gave the cash to his boss, Dave McGraw. And Dave was totally astounded, liked the idea, and said, can you do it again? So from that time on, my dad's major involvement in the Pepsi-Cola business was to go out and work with these trading posts and take accounts receivable for rugs. And that went on for a period of 20 years.